All right, so here we're looking at solving equations with the unknown on one side. You don't really have to worry too much about what this means, but what it means is that we're looking at questions that are like this, like that, where the unknown, or the x, although it could be a b or an a or whatever letter, it's only on one side of the equal sign. We don't have anything like that, because those are just a bit harder, and I'll do those in a different video. So that's the type of question that we're looking at. We'll start with a couple of examples, as always. What was that one I just wrote out, actually? It was 2x plus 3 equals 5. Now, there are lots of different ways of working out questions like this and working out what x is. Some people are just very lucky and can just sort of see straight away what x has to be to make that true. But for the more complicated questions, we do need a rigorous method that will work every time. So that's what I'm going to show you. And it's just one of the ways. Now, our goal is to get x equals something, right? We're trying to work out what number goes here. So if we can undo everything that's happened to the x in our original equation, if we can take away the 3 and divide by the 2 and get rid of that, then we'll be left with x by itself. So that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to take away or undo everything that's happened to the x and leave ourselves with just the x by itself. But if I do something like take away 3 from the left-hand side here, I have to do it to the right-hand side, otherwise it won't be equal anymore. So first thing I'm getting rid of there is the plus 3. I'm getting rid of that by taking away 3. But if I'm taking away 3 from the left-hand side, I also have to take away 3 from the right-hand side, or it won't be equal. So when I take away that 3, I'm left with just 2x on the left, and 5 take away 3 is 2 on the right. And the only other thing in this question to undo, to get rid of, is this 2 here. But because that's 2 times x, I get rid of it by dividing by 2. And again, I have to do the same to both sides. And upon dividing by 2, the 2x turns into x, and the 2 turns into 1. So x is 1. Now, if you want, we can do a check of our answer to see if it makes sense by substituting what we think x is back into the original equation and seeing if it's true. And what I mean by that is, we think x is 1. So if we do 2 times 1, which is 2, and then plus 3, we get 5, which is exactly what it told us we were supposed to get. So 1 must be the right answer. Let's do another one. Let's have 6a plus 8 equals 20. This is very, very similar to the other one. We'll just do all the same steps. We'll undo everything that's happened to a, and hopefully we'll be left with a by itself. So we'll start by taking away the 8 from both sides to keep it even, leaving us with 6a on the left and 12 on the right. And next we just divide by 6 to cancel out the times by 6, leaving us with a equals 2. Let me try and do a more complicated one. Let's have 3b plus 2 divided by 4 equals, this might be a decimal, but that's okay, equals 5. Yeah, I've got a calculator to hand. Right, so the first thing we'll do in this case, we can't even take away 2 yet, and we can't divide by the 3 yet because of this divide by 4. So the first thing we're going to do is multiply by 4. And we're doing that because it's going to cancel out the divide by 4 and leave us with 3b plus 2. And if we multiply the 5 by 4 as well, we get 20. Now I can do the same thing that I did in all the other questions. I can take away 2 next, leaving us with 18 on that side, and 3b plus 2 take away 2 is just 3b. And finally, to get b by itself, I'm going to cancel out the times by 3 by dividing by 3, giving me b on the left-hand side. 18 divided by 3 is 6. So b is 6. That's solving equations. There are lots and lots of different ways that it can look a bit different to what we've done here, but that's probably beyond the scope of this video. But what I'm going to do is put some questions up there. There's 3 questions there. You can pause here if you want to have a go at them, if you want to give them a try, or you can just keep it playing while I go through the answers. But I will just say, the last one here, if you're going to give it a try, this question, question 3, you're going to need to expand the brackets first before you can solve the equation. So pause here if you want to have a go at those, or just leave it playing and I'll talk through the answers. All right, so in this first one, it looks very similar to the ones we did as our first 2 examples. First thing we're going to do is subtract 7, because that will cancel out the 7 on the left-hand side. So we now have 3x plus 7 minus 7, which is just 3x. And 19 take away 7 is 12. Next, we have this 3 times x. We don't want 3 times x, we just want x. So we're going to cancel that times by dividing by 3 on both sides. 3x divided by 3 is x, and 12 divided by 3 is 4. The next one looks a little different, but we do it in exactly the same way. The only difference in this one is that these two things are in a different order than the examples we've looked at so far, but we still just take away 21 to cancel it out from the left-hand side, and then we take away 21 on the right as well. If we have 21 plus 4x minus 21, we're just left with 4x, and 15 take away 21 is minus 6. So this one's a bit trickier in that respect as well. It's got some minuses in there. Next, we'll divide by 4 to cancel out the times by 4 on the 4x. And 4x divided by 4 is x. Minus 6 divided by 4 is minus 1.5. Minus 1.5. I did that in my head by halving it and halving it again to divide by 4. So that's it. That's that one done. And now this one, I talked about how we need to multiply out these brackets before we can solve the equation and work out what x is. So 3 times 5x is 15x, and 3 times 2 is 6, and that's still equal to 36. Then we take away 6 from both sides, leaving us with 15x equals 30, and finally we divide by 15 to get x by itself, which is equal to 2. X is 2. Right, now in any of those examples, if we wanted to, we could check our answer, and let's do it for this last one, which is a bit more complicated. Maybe there's more space for us to make mistakes. So if we take our answer, we think x is 2, and if we take that and substitute it in for x in our original equation, hopefully our answer, when we do all this, will be 36. So we think x is 2, which makes 5x 10, which makes 5x plus 2 12, and then 3 multiplied by 12 is 36. So our answer of x equals 2 is correct. So that's solving equations. Like I said at the beginning, some people are very good at just spotting what the answer is without having to do too much working out. Perhaps even when we're at this stage, in each of our examples, if we know that 3b is 18, you don't really have to do the working out sometimes to see that b is 6. But for more complicated questions on solving equations, it really is worth having a thorough method like what we've just done to make sure that you can answer every type of question like this, not just the more straightforward ones. And that's it. That's solving equations. Hope that helps.